Hey, we're live. 11 a.m. Wednesday. I have a bit of advice, something I've learned over the years that I want to share with you. And it all starts with about 2 years, 18 months or so into running this company. Early 2002, I had a couple of brands that were, and this is a common agency service business mistake. I had a couple of brands that were a high percentage of my total billable time, total billable effort, right? Because when I started the company, it was take all comers, right? And now I'm going to explain what happened. They were about 70%. It wasn't a small percentage. And they were always paying late. And I would put late fees on. And I don't know if you've noticed, but when a business pays late and the system, whatever system you're using, appends late fees on, whether it's QuickBooks or Honeybook or Bonsai, Squarespace, whatever it is, even if you're just emailing them, the accounting department will never add the late fee to the bill that they pay. They're just going to pay what you initially invoiced, and then you're stuck with your accounting to try and reconcile, either kill the late fee altogether or push it into the next invoice or figure all that out, call them, have a hard conversation. Part of the challenge is with late fees, or even if someone's late to pay, we start threatening to pause the work. Anytime we bring it back to the contract, and this doesn't matter if the person is the owner and leader of the business and also manages the accounting, or if they have a separate accounting and procurement and departmentalized entirely like a bigger company. The issue here is that we've set up a system of negative reinforcement, and it's not fair to the service provider, but it's also not fair to our point of contact to say, look, I'm sorry to put you in a tough spot, but if this bill doesn't get paid, there's a challenge here, because that is a threat to throughput. We're not having a positive conversation. And I was speaking about this challenge because this company, which had 2 brands and 2 accounts with me and with Resident Pixel Company, they were late to pay constantly. And I don't mean like a week late to pay. Invoices are net 30 and they're sending payments 60, 45, 60, 80 days out. It's problematic when you have an agency making, $100,000 a year and they're 60 grand of it, 70 grand of it. That's a problem. So, now I wasn't paying my bills on time, and it was a total disaster. And I talked to my point of contact, who wasn't in charge of accounting. They had a department for that. And my point of contact totally understood. Human conversation. Sympathy out the wazoo. And all that's great, but that doesn't actually write the check and mail it and then wait for the check to clear. Total disaster. So I was venting, we'll call it venting, to a friend, confidant, and colleague of mine. And he has run a few companies and exited a few companies and done this far more than I had at that point in time, and got a really great piece of advice. Don't charge late fees. Instead, think about what we can do to incentivize either paying on time or even early pay. Like, how could we pull that investment forward? And it sparked creativity and curiosity on my end. So my advice is, don't charge late fees. Do this instead. Instead, charge or invoice net 15, or even shorter if you want, the method that we want, like say ACH versus a slow honking paper check, or timing. That's why I mentioned net 15. To say if you pay within net 30 or net 15, then I offer you a discount, 2%, 5%, 10%, whatever you're comfortable with. I had created a 5% discount if you ACH within 15 days. And after that, that discount would be gone, basically. And it does a couple of things. There's a few moving parts here. Let me explain. So a company with an accounting department, not like an accountant, but an accounting team or a couple of accountants that are being held accountable by a CEO or board of directors or whatever. Those companies and accounting departments in general often have goals. They have one-on-one reviews with their boss, and they're incentivized in certain ways to achieve certain goals. One of those goals is often aging money. So if they pay you on time, that is a negative impact on their ability to age money. Even if it's a small amount of money, I don't think it's always an amount issue. This is an issue of structure, operations. So an accounting department that is incentivized to age money is often also incentivized to take advantage of discounts. And any opportunity that you can provide that can help them achieve their goals as a department or as a company and get you paid on time is a pretty good idea. So we went from over a year of nonstop threatening to stop work or getting late payments or getting paper checks in the mail, which is a huge hassle, to getting ACH payments within 15 days. And this was good money. You could buy a Camry with this money. So it was like we went from one extreme to the other, and all I did was offer a 5% discount with a net 15 ACH payment. And they started taking advantage of that because it was a solid discount. Now, I understand the idea of discounting isn't always received positively. It's important that you understand your rates and you can adjust your rates upward over time, or when a contract is up for renewal and put a new rate in there. You can change all kinds of terms in a contract, and one of them can be rate. So when you have an opportunity to alter the level of investment that in a way that can subsidize or assist with that discount, but don't discredit the idea of having cash on hand and getting that revenue and pulling that forward, and the amount of effort and stress that relieves, and what that's worth to you. If it's worth 2%, 5%, whatever. It was worth 5% to me. I didn't ultimately raise their rates. I was happy to provide them and make a little less cash in order to pull that forward and get it working for the business sooner and get myself paid on time, which was phenomenal. So when I've talked about the feast-famine cycle of project work, that is a contributor. And I think that there are ways to design that, our processes to help a business achieve their operational goals and get us paid on time. So I hope that sparks some creative thought in you. And it's funny, I had this thought because I literally had this chat in a Slack group with some agency professionals that struggle with this. It's a pretty big transition, especially if your deals are either longer or bigger. So it's good to start thinking about it early and upfront. And there are, it's all part and parcel to common threads that we have with project work, with sort of the outdated agency model that was made for managing time and materials to be ready for a printing press or broadcast. And in this digital age, things move far more quickly, and that can create a lot of chaos, especially when you downscale to smaller businesses that are working with different budgets and different amounts of, how do I say, resources. So we face a lot of challenges. You know, we feel sometimes like we're being treated like a vendor. We feel like scope creep can be a challenge. We feel like we're constantly having to prove ROI, or the return on their investment. There are lots of different pricing methodologies and reporting methodologies. And oftentimes we wind up feeling like clients suck, which I don't believe. And then oftentimes we're working with obsolete tech, especially at larger scale projects. And that requires full stack attention to massage something to work to achieve a very specific outcome. Those are specialized skills. It's not really what I'm covering here, but no amount of strategy can overcome operational misalignment. We can be as generous or as discounted or as creative as is possible. But if we're selling time and that's not what they are judging success by, that's always going to create a situation where they're finding new help every few years, maybe even every year. And finding new help is a ton of work. So it's important that we are always communicating. Here's the way through. Yes, you can think systematically about your processes and your offering, and I 100% support that. But most of the challenges we face as service providers, and this isn't just for Squarespace designers, this is broad. The idea is it comes down oftentimes to how we communicate, what we communicate, how we treat others. It's important as a leader that we put people first, right? It's important that we include ourselves in that we are generous with ourselves and treat ourselves with some amount of respect and build a business that demands it and earns it. A big part of that is authenticity. I think sometimes there's a bit of a facade that's put up in marketing, and as organizations or in sales, there's this idea of professionalism. There are lots of things that we perpetuate and repurpose instead of being our authentic selves, which is usually even better. So in communicating and being authentic, communicating clearly and with empathy, and being authentic and designing processes and marketing that are honest, transparent, and designing programs and offerings that help transition businesses or help leaders visualize their transformation goes a long way to providing ongoing value and being of service, far more than just being hired hands and banging out tasks, which at the end of the day is limited in value. So think hard about some kind of system that can incentivize those whom you partner with from a, vendor-client relationship, and think about throughput instead of barriers. That's an oversimplification, but that's pretty much how I think about it. All right, I'm off my soapbox if that even made any damn sense. Look, I don't know where to take that, to be honest with you. I am going through all of the sites that we've created. So let me just bump into not so much what's new. Let me merge the Squarespace news thoughts with AI segment. And I don't have anything for this transition. Just to say, going back through, maybe this is even struggle bus. Let's like jam all this stuff into a big gumbo. Going back through all of the sites we've created over the years and touching base with older clients and current customers. And there are so many new things in the settings panel. I'm not sure a lot of people are aware that you can change what your statements say now when there are charges made on Squarespace payments. That's a pretty awesome feature. They haven't told anybody about it, but it's in there. Maybe it's circle specific and it hasn't rolled out to the public yet. I apologize if I'm talking out of school there and I'm just seeing something not everyone sees. But I was tweaking with that this morning on my personal website, WaynePelletier.com, and went, oh, that's surprise and delight. I'll take that. But all this to say, going through the settings once in a while, making it routine. So I've created a calendar item to go back through the settings monthly and check to see if there are new features that have been launched that haven't been announced, so that I can do a better job of being supportive to the clients and the websites and the customers I have. Now, the reason why I bring all that up is the new brand settings, the new sort of brand voice and tone settings in the Squarespace backend is pretty awesome. It's gotten a lot better. But if you're going to use the AI writing assistant tools that come up with the WYSIWYG, text styling bar editor, updating those first goes a long way to improving the output of that and that writing tool. And I think that now I systematically got to go back through, I don't know, over 100 websites probably in a short amount of time to either update it or add it. Honestly, probably add it in a lot of places so that when the clients use that or click that button, or when I use that button, it does a better job. So that's an example of systemize everything. Like, okay, this is something that I need to do routinely, to check routinely, to make sure that it is staying aligned with the brands. Because over time, copy changes, brands change, and there's an adaptation there as time goes on. And since that content that we put in the brand settings doesn't update when we update the pages themselves, until Squarespace figures out how to get the AI writing tools to learn from the copy on the pages of the site, those settings are kind of what we have. And I'm looking forward to them building out more features in this regard. I think it's a great opportunity. But for now, I want to systemize getting that cleaned up and closing that loop so that everybody's experience with the sites that we've made are as good as possible. So that's that. I don't know if that's struggle bus. I mean, I have literally designed the system. I've only done a few of the updates to see how it goes, and really, honestly, sounds so dramatic. It takes 2 minutes to go in there and make that update. Between 2 and 5. I don't want to exaggerate downward, but it's important, and I want to stick with it. And I don't know that I got anything else for struggle bus, dude. I'm being honest with you here. I think I've done some flamethrowing in this one. Gaslighting? I don't even know if I know what gaslighting means. All right. I'll ask AI. I am going to thumbnail this on this one. I'm thinking I'm going to call this one, Don't Charge Late Fees. Do this instead. And let's see. What should I do? Oh, crap. I didn't turn off the obnoxious. I meant I had turned that off. I must have run an update, and Apple conveniently turned that back on. I don't know what happened there. That sucked. Maybe I can capture it, screen capture it out of here. I don't know. But don't. Yeah, I already said the name of the title. I've done this one a couple times, and I don't love it. How about like that? Like eyebrows up? They have super expressive eyebrows. Anyway, that's all I got. Hopefully those faces will work for the thumbnail, which will be updated. Usually this happens within the hour. So, stay square. I'll chat with you soon. Soon being Friday at 11 a.m.